What's up, guys? As you guys know, I'm a big fan of right now actually tapping into this direct response funnel type of thing instead of just going and trying to compete on UGC brands. Because essentially, if you're competing against, UGC dependent or UGC heavy brands, and you're going the same route as they are, then what's going to happen is, they make better UGC, they make more UGC, and it's going to be super hard for you to stand out. Okay, especially if they have some type of influencer set up, if they have some type of, TikTok shop set up with, bunch of affiliates posting like ton of content every single day, and UGC starts to get really quantity and volume based. So if you're not making like 100, 200, 300 pieces of UGC a week, right, then you can't compete with those, okay? And so what is actually right now a lot better to compete on and a lot more efficient, a lot higher hit rate, and a lot more systemizable and like basically like plannable is actually tapping into this direct response type of like super long funnel advertorial order page, and before that obviously longer ads. So I want to today break down this brand right here, which is called the Vibit or Vibit or whatever, and I want to break down their creative strategy. I want to kind of just point out what they've done super well, what I think they could do better. A second thing is obviously their funnel, so their advertorial. I also want to kind of show you guys their checkout page or order page, and I transcribed some of the ads, and I really want to point out what they've done super well. And so the first thing that I think they've done super well is they're running VSL UGC hybrid ad concept. So if you look at their ads, one thing which you can immediately notice. Let me play some of these. Yeah, so it's,
if you have a tutorial ITB,
so it's mostly,
if you haven't tried this,
it's mostly, they seem like UGC videos because it's like between 1 and 2 minutes long. However, it's actually something which is called a hybrid VSL UGC. And what exactly that is just a normal UGC video, but it's just longer. It has the same effect. It doesn't position yourself too much as the brand selling the product, but constantly adding in disqualifiers, which essentially, disqualify a bunch of people. But the ones that do click through convert at a lot higher level, right? So you need to test fewer UGC pieces. This is not like just some solution-aware type of stuff, but actually problem-aware or even unaware. And so this is kind of the mix between a UGC video, which is the point of like, only one creator, and it shouldn't position herself too much as the brand, but actually should appear like an organic video, and combine that with a VSL, which is like the hardcore educational doctor speaking type of video. If you combine these two, this is exactly what they've done super, super well. And this is the first thing that I've written down here. I would actually, if I were you, I would probably compete on something like this, because it's a lot easier to actually work with something like this than with a normal UGC, but also with a 5-minute long VSL, right? They have other ad concepts too, but I've actually transcribed 2 of their ads, and I want to, break down what kind of, direct response elements they've put in here inside of their ads, and how you can actually kind of take that for yourself, right? So their hook immediately, what they do is, like, let me just read it quickly. If you haven't tried this foot pain relief tool from Amazon, you're seriously missing out, right? So what this does is immediately, okay, unaware, right? It's like, if you haven't tried this, you're missing out. Boom. You could say that about anything. What they're doing, they probably did a hook testing before this. They essentially immediately start to speak to super unaware people. They want to get as many people as possible into the top of funnel. Now, then after that, they go kind of immediately in the unique mechanism of solution. So it's not completely unaware. They're not really trying to tell a story or something like that. It's not a super long ad. It's just a minute long, right? You've seen VSLs which are 5, 10, 15 minute long, and they can work super well too, but it's also significantly more difficult to actually produce that type of content. And so it's going really deeply into simplicity. So like they're basically explaining, when I scan the QR code, there's over 100 video tutorials on how to use my calves, blah blah. So essentially it's really hard on simplicity. They want to kind of point out how easy it is to reach the dream outcome if they get the product, right? And then obviously after that, you just basically go into what it actually does, like the benefits, also the stretched benefits, so the future benefits over like the long run. And at the end of the ad, they just basically do a lot of risk reversal, right? So you could say, they eliminate the effort and sacrifice by saying, you can either buy direct and save 40% off, or buy it from Amazon. Trust me, they're worth it with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Risk reversal, right? You have nothing to lose. Click below before this offer ends. So they have a lot of urgency in here too, especially in the call to action, which I love to do as well. And essentially, this ad is a typical UGC VSL hybrid, because some things like this this, for example, the risk reversal, right? Or the urgency, or let's say the simplicity, right? Or the unaware hook. You wouldn't have these things in a normal UGC video, but this actually speaks to a lot more unaware people and acts a lot more as a VSL, but it's still a UGC video essentially, right? And this is the first thing that you could take away. Just to give you guys another example so I can really understand it. Other hook, I worked long shifts in my feet, and for a few months I was diagnosed with whatever. So essentially what this is also an unaware hook, because this is some type of storytelling, right? And as you know, for unaware people or problem aware people, the thing that resonates the most with someone who has no clue who you are is a story. That's why storytelling is so effective. Now, once again, let's get into how it works. And really, they go really in depth about the simplicity in all of their ads, right? So they really want to essentially, they've probably figured out by doing the research about actually testing other ads to other kind of focused benefits. But like, it seems like simplicity is what they're actually doing the most. And to be fair, simplicity is something which a lot of brands are pushing hard right now. Like it's getting super hard. People are just getting more lazy. It is what it is. And people just want to have like their short attention spans transfer towards also, solving their real life problems, right? Which is terrible. But like as an e-com brand, you can really take advantage of that and use that in your ads. Simplicity is really powerful. Once again, they have urgency and risk reversal with a 30-month money back guarantee, all that kind of stuff inside of their call to action, which is also really powerful. And so what you can take from their ad strategy, first of all, this concept works super, super well because it actually speaks to unaware people. It's still UGC video. It's cheap to source because they probably, paid the same creator. As you can see here, they have the same creator over and over again. These ads also have higher hit rates, obviously, than a normal UGC video. And the thing is this is an ad concept which is not overused right now. So you won't find that many hybrid VSL UGCs, which is, for example, UGC, the normal UGC version would be super, super tapped, and you should not try to compete on that, like I explained in the beginning. Just like for example, VSLs, there's also a bunch of competitors for that, even though VSL, I would prefer that over a UGC video. And so there's other ad concepts that are super easy. I mean, even with AI now, with Rio 3 or something, you can make this super quickly, super easily, right? And they have a ton of theirs. The second thing you can take from their ad creative strategy is they're testing a ton of ads. Like if you look at their stuff here, they pretty much only started really testing ads because I removed the active ads filter from like March 7th, right? So March 6th, March 7th. They test a couple creatives in April, but only now they've really started to test a bunch of content. And I'm assuming it works super well for them, because else they wouldn't be still running these ads from March or whatever, right? So this is a really, really, really promising sign. You can even jump on this in the US because they haven't been scaling for a long time. Their similar web doesn't say, a lot of visitors. For example, it says pretty much nothing. There's no track traffic. Of course, this is not a Shopify store, so you got to be a little bit more careful with traffic tracking. However, you can basically be pretty much sure they're making a lot of money with these ads and they're working super well for them. But also, right, at the same time, they're pretty new, so you could definitely still jump on this. Keep in mind their advantage is obviously they're on Amazon too. This is an actual brand, right? They have everything custom made and custom packaging, and even have like some type of free gift as a software, like an app or something. So you won't have that in the beginning if you're just dropshipping and selling the same stuff that everyone else is selling. But you can, and this should give you an idea for your pride, for your brand, for your niche, how you can actually execute that, right? So the second thing which you can take is obviously, like I said, they're testing a bunch of ads and they're really pushing this concept hard. They're iterating because you see the same creators again and again and again, and they basically change up the hooks. They do kind of go deeper into what worked a little bit. And this is actually exactly the approach of that iterative media buying, or like the iterative creative testing that you need to have in order to make it nowadays. So you test something and then you look at the stuff which was the best. Even if everything failed, you look at the best stuff from those all failed concepts, and then you just try to go deeper into what worked a little bit, test a bunch of variations from that one variable that was the weakest essentially, and try to make the overall ad performance better. And you could do this 100 times. So technically, you could make every single ad concept on earth profitable with this approach, right? And the second thing which I want to point out that they did super well is the disqualification process inside of their advertorials. So as you guys know, advertorials, listicles, VSLs, every type of pre-sales page, the only goal of that is to warm people up, right, who are super unaware. But another thing which is going to happen is it's going to disqualify a bunch of people, especially the bad quality customers that you wouldn't want to have anyway. So this leads to fewer people clicking through, but the ones that do click through buy more, right? So they spend more money and convert a lot higher because they've consumed more content. Therefore, they're more ready to buy. They're more aware. This turns them more aware, essentially, right? And so the disqualification that they've done here is really, really, well done, because look at their title of their advertorial. This $99 device is changing lives for people with plantar fasciitis. Yes. So what you can take from this is that they immediately put the price in here, right? And what this does is, if you immediately put the price inside of a headline or something, or put the price in your ads, what's going to happen is obviously always no one really resonates with the price, right? So once people click through this advertorial, they know everything. They're pretty much ready to buy immediately. So what this does is it gives away the price and it disqualifies a bunch of people, but it warms up the selected few that you want to focus on that actually do click through, and they convert higher. Once again, they also buy. They're more likely to buy post-purchase upsells, pre-purchase upsells that we're also going to get into. And so I like their disqualification process all the way throughout, right? So what they've done is, imagine waking up pain-free. So they kind of, sell the outcome instead of selling the product, which is amazing. Also, they're kind of just pushing simplicity, like in their ads, right? Just 5 minutes a day. Once again, super easy. Time delay is small, right? 2 years. So they're also pushing the stretched benefits, the future benefits, long-term benefits of the product, which is another great direct response element. They have a bunch of social proof on their advertorial, and essentially just, once again, they're trying to explain how everything works. They give away the price once again, so they always constantly disqualify a bunch of people. They have almost like a complete VSL here on their advertorial funnel, which is insane. And then once again, a bunch of social proof, right? So they disqualify a bunch of people until the selected few that they want to focus on actually do click through and actually come to the order page or checkout page here, right? So as you can see, expedited shipping for $8, right? You have the pre-purchase upsell here. They don't really have other, or like a bundle discount or anything. You can pick the color that you want here, so that's pretty cool. And also have a bunch of urgency, right? So they have before that you can immediately some risk reversal below the order button. This is obviously doable if you don't use Shopify. This is not a Shopify store. This is not a Shopify checkout page, but you can customize a Shopify checkout page too with certain apps or with Shopify Plus, whatever you kind of do. But you can do all these different things. You have the choice to do all that kind of stuff. And so what you want to do essentially is, I'm not gonna buy their product now, but essentially I'm assuming they have a bunch of different post-purchase upsells too, but they don't even have a product page, right? So which is super interesting. They don't have one. They immediately send people to the order page, so that's extremely interesting. And so let's check out their old store here. Yeah, right. So you have to enter the password of the store to even be able to read their normal kind of store. So this is a very classic direct response brand. And so what I would probably do if I were to if you came up to me and told me I have to make this work, I have to copy this, I have to take inspiration from this and make this work myself, this product, this whatever, what I would do is I would break down their exact ad funnel, their exact obviously their website funnel too, and I would just translate everything to German and run it up in a different market. That's the easiest thing you can do. It's the fastest way to make money with e-com, is to take a super good direct response funnel like this one to see what they're doing well, what they're doing bad, and do it in Germany or in whatever country, whatever language you also speak besides English. Do it better than them. Do it better, because you can see a lot of flaws too. They could test even a little bit more creatives, right? They could do other ad concepts too, even though they have a bunch of VSLs. They could make longer ones, right? They could test more creators. They could, when it comes to their ads, they could do a lot of different things. They could do podcast clips. They could do street interviews. They could do founder type ads, right? Even now especially now with VO3, there's so much possible. So much cool stuff that you could just take inspiration of. And so specifically what I want you to do is also, look at their advertorial. They disqualify basically 80% of people, I'm assuming, just with this $9. It's extremely expensive, right? It's extremely expensive brand. So yeah, guys, that's what I'd probably do if I were to have to make this brand work for myself. What I would do is I would just do it better in a German market, being one of the first one to actually sell something like this. And yeah, guys, that was pretty much it for this video. I want to say thank you so much for giving me your most important asset, which is your attention. And so yeah, thank you guys once again for watching. I wish you a beautiful day.